So, as you guys can tell, I am pretty much prepped and ready for surgery. We had a couple of hills and mountains that we had to climb over before we got here, but we're here now. Poor Tyler has not been feeling well. So we're just waiting on the anesthesiologist and Dr. Murray to come in here and talk to us. And I will definitely make sure that Tyler gives you guys updates as we go through it. And by the way, good morning. I'm being careful with my hand because I have an IV in it, which I'm sure I'm fine, but good morning. So, yeah, as soon as they come in here, I'll let you guys know what they said. Okay guys, so it's Wednesday, it's the next day after my surgery, and I am super sorry that I didn't update yesterday and get this video up, but I was in a lot more pain than I was expecting to be in. I'm still in quite a bit of pain today, but not as bad. I've been keeping some Motrin and stuff in me, so it's better. So Tyler was going to video what Dr. Murray said, but he kind of came in like super fast. So I'm just going to kind of turn the camera like on Tyler and let him tell you what Dr. Murray had to say, because we didn't get the news that we were hoping to get.
So she went in, they wheeled her back at about 1:10, which is about 10 minutes late for work. They were wanting to get her back there, and she was in surgery for a little under an hour, and Dr. Murray came in and had a quick chat, and it was me, Karina's mom, and my mom in the room, and so, come on, Fizz, we're gonna get up here. Yeah, get up here. He kind of just addressed all three of us at the same time, and what he had to say was, so last January, Karina had an HSG, which is a test, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, is a test where they shoot dye through her reproductive system to make sure that everything's open, and that test showed that the right tube wasn't working.
But the left tube
left tube was. So what he did when he got into the surgery was he cut her open. There was 2 incisions. He stuck a camera in there.
I'm going to go get the picture, so I'm going to let you talk,
Okay.
and I'm going to go grab the picture so I can show them.
Okay. Yeah, don't. Goodness gracious. She's not used to being in that much pain. Oh shoot, where was I? Okay, so he cut her open, and he stuck a camera in there, and he took a look around, because they wanted to look for, things like endometriosis and scar tissue and things of that nature. So he got in there with the camera. He found a little bit of endometriosis, which he said he wasn't concerned about, because there was so little of it, and she's not feeling any symptoms from it, so he didn't think that that was what was interfering with us getting pregnant.
But
so he did ablaze it, which I think is probably part of why she's feeling as much discomfort as she is. But they pump her, after they've got her cut open and stuff, they pump her full of gas to expand her abdomen, just so that they can get all the tools that they need in there and have a little bit of space to work with. And then after he ablazed the endometriosis, they did basically what amounts to another HSG, which is that test where they shoot dye. But one thing that they're able to do when a patient is asleep, as opposed to when they're doing an HSG just in an outpatient setting is they can apply more pressure to the injection to try to force some of that dye in, just to kind of see if there's any like wiggle room, or if it's if it's fully blocked, or if you can still get a little fluid through there. So what happened was, and we'll just kind of show you here. So let me get up close and personal here. So
I might need more light on.
Okay, so it's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult to see in these pictures just because of the glare. But if you can see right up here at the very top of the picture, this right here is her tube. Okay, that might do it. Okay, so you can kind of see right up here at the top. So this is her tube, this sort of arcing thing right through the middle. And up top here you can see it's good and blue up until this point. So that point right there is the point at which the dye stopped. So you can see that there's a good amount of tube that we weren't able to get any dye in, but you can see that there's some dye that's kind of arcing off to the sides here. So what he told us is that indicates that there's something that's probably blocking that tube, and the more pressure he applied, that dye had to go somewhere, and so the porous vascular tissue that surrounds the tube absorbs it and kind of shoots it out into the body.
So that blue line right there?
That's outside of your tube, yeah.
Oh, so where's my tube?
Right here.
So that's my ovary.
Right.
See, okay.
The dye goes right there, and then it just kind of shoots out. And what that indicates is that there's probably something blocking it, although he was very deliberate in saying and re-saying that does not necessarily mean that tube is blocked. Now, that's the right tube. That's a picture of the right tube. And we knew that the right tube wasn't working the way that it's supposed to be working. We've known that for about a year. But what we found out yesterday was because they ran the same test on the left tube as well, and the left tube was behaving the exact same way. So there's a pretty good chance, a 50-50 chance, that neither one of her tubes are working at all. But by that math, there's a 50-50 chance that they're both working okay. But his recommendation to us...
And this is the good news. This is where Tyler was super excited.
Yeah. So his recommendation to us was if we wanted to, we could continue on for a couple months using the Femera, the letrozole, and just trying to do it the old-fashioned way. But Karina, given her health and her age and the quality of her eggs and the health of her uterus,
and your sperm,
and the fact that I've got Superman swimmers,
he's so proud of that, you guys. You have no idea.
I'm just glad that I'm not...
He's glad he's not a factor in this.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm just not useless to the situation. But anyway, given all of those factors, he thinks that she is a perfect candidate for, what'd you call it, a mini IVF?
I think he said they have a cheaper IVF, which I think is a mini IVF. So instead of, like with traditional IVF, you have like all the injections and then they pull the eggs and then you have more injections. Well, they will give me oral medicine, probably like the Femera or something like it, have my eggs stimulated, and instead of drawing out a whole bunch of eggs, they're only going to take out 3, maybe 4 really good quality eggs, pull them while they're still immature, finish maturing them in the lab, and then combine them with his sperm, and then they will put them back up in me, which then I will probably have about a week or so of some medicine just to make sure that my uterine lining stays built up for implantation, which that takes our cost from about $14,000 to $16,000 down to $7,000 or $8,000.
Yeah, and it's really, when you get told that you're gonna need IVF where there's a good chance you're going to need IVF to get pregnant. This particular, you want me to hold it for a little bit?
Yes, please. My arm's ready.
This particular procedure is about as a good an outcome as you can ask for, because a normal person with her factors, you pull 4 eggs out. Well, actually, we'll use 3 just because that's what he started with yesterday. So you pull 3 eggs out. One of those eggs is likely to not produce anything. So you get 2 eggs that mature the way that they're supposed to, and of those 2 eggs, there's a really good chance that one of those has no biological factors that are negative. So otherwise, it's a perfect, like, it's going to develop into a good healthy baby. So just with 3 eggs, you're getting a really high quality chance of having a good healthy baby later on. The older you get, or say that you get somebody who has damaged eggs, or eggs that for whatever reason don't have a very good health factor to them, the more eggs they have to pull out of you to get a good chance at having one of those eggs develop into a good healthy embryo. So they don't have to pull near as many eggs out of her, so they're not going to be reaching very deep into her reserves, and there's a really good chance that they're going to get a good high quality chance for us pretty quickly. So it's a really it's discouraging in as much as, being told that there's a good chance you're probably never going to be able to have a baby the good old-fashioned way. But it's really encouraging to be told that outside of not having cooperative tubes, that everything else seems to be working exactly the way it's supposed to. So, it's going to be more expensive, obviously, than just, canoodling and 9 months later having a kiddo.
But that's why we're going to go ahead and just, because we have decided we are going to go ahead and just start now. As soon as, he's like, yeah, we'll get you in here, we'll start this process. So that way, because I'm 23, I'll be 24 by the time we have the baby. And, that'll give us a good year or 2 to pay because we're going to have to finance it. So that'll give us a good year or 2 to kind of pay that off, and then, look at, if we want another kid, look at having our second baby. So, and then the reason, because I know some of you guys are going to be asking, the reason he didn't just go inside the tube and unblock it that way was because he said that they don't typically have a very good success rate with that.
Basically, what happens is, say there's something that's blocking the inside of the tube. When you've got scar tissue or something outside of the tube that's constricting it, it's possible to remove that with a high success rate to give that tube an ability to open back up. When you've got something on the inside of the tube, you're having to sort of scrape it away to open it back up, and what happens is that creates more scar tissue down the road. So you have a very, very, very small window where that tube is actually going to be open, and inside that window you're going to be in quite a lot of pain because you just had your tube scraped out. And so, once that scar tissue builds back up, it's probably going to build up even tougher than it was before, and you're basically just doing more damage down the line.
And if he has to scrape, say, the entire tube or both sides of the tube, there's such a small diameter that you really build up the risk of, like my left tube, the first time we did this HSG, it seemed like it was okay, which he is going to look more into that, and he's supposed to call me later this evening, so I'll try and come back at the end of this video with an update. But, you risk the chance of, if you have to scrape both sides, well, then if that scar tissue builds up and builds up thicker, you're going to completely block that tube off altogether, and then it's really going to be useless.
Yeah.
So better to just right now, especially since the first HSG appeared as though it was working. You never know. It could have been one of those days I started contracting and it wouldn't let the dye flow through, But, I mean, he said he wouldn't be surprised if we had called him at some point and said, hey, we're pregnant. But just like Tyler had said, with me being as young as I am and having good quality eggs and having a good uterus and stuff like that, if we want to go ahead and have our first baby, we might as well just
Go for IVF.
Go for IVF, and then once we have our first baby, we can spend, you know, the next year or two trying to do it naturally, and then if we still don't get pregnant, that's okay, because we have a baby. We just know that we're going to have to do IVF again.
Yep.
So, and then hopefully my eggs will still be good quality, and we can at least get away with one more year of mini IVF, and then if we want a third kid, then we might have to look at
yeah,
a little bit more expensive one.
which, I mean, by then we will have won the lottery and it won't really matter. But
We'll be millionaires. We'll share all of our money with you guys.
yeah, it'll be perfect.
But I'm going to show you guys the endometriosis that they had found. Let me see if I can. So there it is. I think that was on the right ovary, maybe. But that was it. That was all he found. And he ablazed all of it. So, because normally because if you guys can tell in this picture, it's a pinkish reddish color. And if he wouldn't have ablazed it, it still would have been like a blackish brown color. So he did get rid of all of that. And you can see in this picture right here, this blue, that was some more of the dye that had kind of spilled over. You guys can see in this picture, well, you might not be able to see that, but there is some blue dye right up in here. And then so this is a picture of my liver, and do you guys see this blackish gray right here and over in here? That was also more of the dye. So I'm not really sure what these are pictures of, but you can see some more of the dye up in here. And then right there a little bit. So yeah, it wasn't the greatest news that we were hoping for, but it also wasn't the worst news we could have.
No, honestly, because you know, the first time that this little procedure came up in Dr. Murray's office, he said that if it's something that we end up resorting to, the worst possible outcome is that, you know, we find out that all of our assumptions were wrong, but we have good, solid information going forward, which, you know, basically this is the worst outcome that we could have gotten, is finding out that neither of the tubes work.
Yeah, well, he actually thought he was going to get in there and find, well, he didn't think that, but he actually said, like, the worst, like, you know, worst case scenario, I get in there, there's so much scar tissue, I can't do anything with you. And when he got in there, there was, like, no scar tissue. There was barely any endometriosis. So I don't know what's causing the blockage on the inside of the tubes, but...
Yeah, but, you know, this procedure gives us a lot of information that we didn't have even, you know, last week going forward. And it allows us to make a good informed decision on how we should proceed to end up where we want to end up. So, you know, it's frustrating because, you know, stupid and anatomy just getting in the way. But it's also really reassuring that now we have a solid plan of action going forward.
And we can afford $7,000 where 14 to 16 was going to be like...
You know, I mean, I don't need both my kidneys, but...
I don't need both of mine either, I guess.
But yeah, so, anyway.
But, and then, the only other bummer to this is there's a pretty decent chance that Tyler can't hold the camera. So, there is a pretty decent chance that I'm going to be losing my job soon.
Not a bummer.
And I was going to wait until it officially happened before I told you guys, just because I know some of the people I work with are going to be watching this video. I know some of my parents are going to be watching this video. But they weren't, where I work, they weren't the happiest that I took the time off for this surgery. And part of that was I had let them know almost a month ago, and they waited until the end of last week to tell me that I still couldn't take the surgery. And I was like, well, it's literally 5 days out from my surgery date. Like, I'm not rescheduling it. So there was already a pretty good chance there that I was going to lose my job. Well, they had told me that I better be back on Monday, and my doctor, because he had to make one extra incision, like, I'll show you guys in a minute what I'm talking about. And he had to, like, I think he had to use the robot. I'm not sure, maybe not. But, he, you know, I can't lift anything this week, and then next week I can't lift anything greater than 10 pounds, and then I kind of just slowly go up from there. So I can't even go back to work until the 19th, and I'm still going to be on restrictions at that point. And so yeah, there's about a 75% chance that I get to keep my job, which is okay.
That you lose your job.
I mean, yeah, there's about a 75% chance that I lose my job, which I'm going to, you know, miss all the kiddos and the teacher that I work with. But so yeah, we're just trying to, I've been applying to new jobs. I'm going to keep at the YouTube. So you guys, I have to get 1,000 subscribers before they will monetize my videos. So you guys, please just keep watching and keep hitting that subscribe button, because any kind of money that we make off of this is going to kind of help us go towards that IVF. And we would really like it to where if we could get big enough and be able to do kind of like what Ellie and Jared do and pick a couple of IVF candidates, or
that we can sponsor.
that we can sponsor, or, you know, pay for, you know, those of you, some of, you know, at once a year pick a couple that of you who need it. I can talk today. And, you know, cover that for you, because we know it's not cheap, and we would, you know, we'd like to help, and we would love to help you guys, but we need y'all's help too. So
tell your friends, tell your family, anybody who you think might be interested in what we've got going on.
We love having you guys a part of our family. I read every one of your comments. I'm always excited when you guys leave me comments, and whenever somebody new subscribes, it always makes me so happy. I still want you guys to follow me on Instagram. I will put that here, and I will also link it in the description box below. Send me some messages. Follow me on Instagram. Tell us your story. You can leave us, you know, your story in the comments below. We want to get to know you guys. So let us know what you know, want to see on our channel. We'll upload it, and maybe when we hit 1,000 subscribers, we can get this one to do something crazy. So give us some suggestions on what you guys would like to see him do, or him do to me, or me do to him, and get your mind out of the gutter.
Yeah, you nasty.
But anyways, you guys are awesome, and we love you, and keep hitting those like buttons, keep watching, keep subscribing, and one day we'll be helping you guys out too. So I will either make another video about what Dr. Murray says tonight and upload it tomorrow, or I might just tack it onto this one. But in case I don't, we will see you in a little bit. Bye!